And we are live. How's it going, everybody? Uh, Welcome back to the stream. Uh, Normally, we'll start at 1 o'clock for each stream, but today we have a bit of a recap to go through just to get the old noggin flowing on our first key art piece that we're going to work on today. So, a little introduction. If you're new to the streams, my name is Josh Durham. I'm an art director, concept artist. I've been doing this for about 11 years, and we are going to be designing our own project based on ideas that we've created in the last stream. So if you haven't seen it, feel free to go check it out on Matt Paint channel. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So let's get to it. Right, so the recap. Last stream we created somewhat of a sketch of an art Bible. We don't really need to focus too much on like actually cleaning it up yet. So right now the pieces are kind of a jumbled mess, and then like the spacing here, you know, between color harmonies, there's this giant gap, and then the images in the next page. That's all stuff that we'll fix as we get to. This is the second stream, so the fifth stream will come back and kind of clean this up a little bit. But at the moment, it does its job, where we kind of get a general gist of the idea that we've discussed in the last stream. So we have at the moment a narrative that we've created using this kind of Chinese Japanese mix of cultures with Yukiko as the main character. I was thinking that she visits her dead brother at like a graveyard with a shrine in it, with these like glowing runes on, or not runes, but like glowing cracks and just age in the tombstones, gravestones, shrine, etc. So my idea for the brother was that she would name the kitsune fox after him as a way to like keep his memory alive, because she met this spirit fox at his grave. I couldn't think of a name for the brother though, which would be inherently the name for the fox. I was thinking maybe Aki, because Aki is Japanese for fall, like fall season, like the weather. And then Yukiko, last time we came up with that, but Yuki means snow. So I was thinking in the scene, we're going to have, snow on the ground, fall leaves, orange auburn colors with this like cool shadows kind of thing. So having her name with snow and then his name with like fall would be kind of cool, I think. I don't know. We'll leave his name up for debate later. But yeah, so let's just go to a recap of what we created last time. So we have the color harmonies and the lighting that we like, which are just some examples of color harmonies. I like Kiriko from Overwatch with her Shinto priestess, like red garment with the white cloth, and then the Kitsune Fox is glowing blue, which I'm a fan of, so we're gonna go with that. I also like the lighting of the staff here with like this glowy ethereal glowing crystals in the staff, and just a general idea of like orange and blue for the fall colors to give some cool feeling to the scene. So the graveyard location, which will be the scene that we're doing today. This one, we just left a couple notes of like maybe falling leaves, the cracks in the stones that are glowing nearby the fox spirit, some incense lit around, there's a shrine, and then it's overgrown and old. We want it to feel ancient, so we have some references of ideas of that, including a shot from Spider-Verse, which has nothing to do with the graveyard thematically, but it does have this fall snow on the ground kind of feeling, which is really cool. So we're going to try to get close to that, I think. I only have until 4 o'clock, and it's almost 1 now, so about 3 hours to sketch this out, which is about half the time it takes me to finish a piece. Usually I finish them in like 5 or 6 hours. So today we're not going to finish it. We're just going to sketch it as much as we can and get the idea on paper and just like established. And then in stream 5, we can come back and polish it up a little bit. Since this is for a art Bible or an art Bible or pitch deck idea where we're kind of just coming up with a project, it's not about the piece itself being highly polished and refined. It's more about the project itself being cohesive and like the whole thing as a total. So that's what we're going to focus on. The graveyard has this kind of mystical vibe with the reds and the greens, and then I also want to throw in these orange fall leaves falling around. Something like this. This piece over here on the left has these orange and red leaves within the grass on the bottom. I'm thinking orange and red leaves with some grass poking through, but then we'll have some snow maybe that's melting or left over from like a snow earlier. And then of course the tombstones we want like actual tombstone vibes, kind of like Japanese tombstones, but we want them to be kind of like this, where they're not perfectly organized. They're kind of just like clustered together in certain areas, just because compositionally I think that would look cool. So we're going to focus on that. And then the city scene will be this is second stream, third, fourth. This will be the fourth stream for the city. The city idea we came up with was more of like a slightly futuristic city, leaning towards the slums area for our main character Yukiko to live in. And then we also thought that she could have like an apartment, and she has a window garden that she tends to, that has plants and stuff from the graveyard that she takes care of. Just as a cool little connection between the city and the shrines that she visits. So Yukiko, the main character, she is going to be in this shot. So we have to make sure that we have some kind of idea what she looks like. So we discussed that she has a fashion sense of sashiko, where she does like this kind of patchwork. I don't know about this blue denim color. We may play around with a different color, but we do want to include red on her in general, just to have her stand out from the cool shadows. And of course, red on her has her stand out a bit from the kitsune spirit. So that way they are two different things, two different entities in the shop. But we want them to feel like they are, meeting for the first time, and they're going to be like important to each other. So we discussed possibly, it's kind of hard to see because this image is small, but there's these white and red sakura blossom designs on the dress of this cat girl priestess character. So we're going to try to do something like that, I think. So maybe not the whole jacket's red, but we're going to have some red on it. Character herself, she's more of just like a chill, say college age, maybe like early 20s girl. She has like this she kind of bends the rules to get things done. She's not a criminal, but she does kind of push the legal limits of things. She has this kind of skater vibe. She's very just casual, modern fashion, which I think would be cool because it kind of juxtaposes the Shinto vibe of the kitsune spirit and the shrines. These are just some color ideas of the red and white, and then her red and white flowery design here. And then, of course, I like this idea of the red hat with a scarf. But I think this is better. This is more casual, less scarf, more street clothes. Maybe not the like 9-inch platform shoes, but yeah, the street clothes I think are where we're going to go for sure. So the kitsune spirit design itself, I like the idea of Mulan, where the spirits are kind of glowy, but you can clearly see the shape of the spirit. And then I wanted him to be about 20 feet tall, 35 foot long, give or take. We found out last time that you can measure bipedal animals from the bottom of their feet to the top of their shoulder blade on their back. So something like that, I think. He's pretty large. Story-wise, maybe we could have it where he can shift size. Like maybe he could be smaller. He could, but like his regular size should be that big, I think. And then not white like this, but glowy blue with markings though. So I did want these markings on his face and possibly his tail if it's in the shot. I don't think it'll be in the shot. I think he's too big to have his whole tail in the shot too. But I do like the wind vibe of the Kitsune spirit. So I want anything in this that is mystical, magical, and any essence like that to feel more like it's flowy. You know, it's very like wind blowing through the scene kind of thing. So the fox itself, just an idea of what a fox looks like, which we know what he looks like because it's just a fox. This one though is a pretty cool idea. This is also from Overwatch. This gives the idea of the glowy blue fox that I like, but I don't want him to be solid like this. I would like him to be a bit more translucent, like in Spirit of the North over here. So he has more of this glowiness to him, but you can clearly see through him. That gives more of a spirit vibe than this just solid 3D model does, I think. Now, fantasy, this is the final thing that we talked about. This is, again, just explaining not exactly what it should look like, but the general feeling of what the fantasy elements will be in the graveyard and the shrine area. So the stones will have like these glowy cracks in them, so you'll have this contrast. Same thing with this middle shot. And then over here with Ori in the Blind Forest and with Kana, we have these, I called them spectral flakes, but these like glowy bits that are floating around with this blue tone to them. Big fan of that, so we're definitely going to focus on that. I did like the wind feeling of this shot and this one, where you have this kind of flow to it. It's really nice. And this is just more of a example of the glowy animal, some of the fall mysticalness, and this shot in the middle here is to give an example of the stonework that we're going to see in the graveyard. So we want it to be old and overgrown and not very well maintained. So the stonework is going to be kind of janky and maybe fallen over in certain areas and stuff like that. Again, with the fall trees. And that is a recap of our last stream, which I nailed it. I was thinking 15 minutes for a recap is probably fine. And now we can start around 1 on the actual art. So that is that. We're now all caught up on where we are. And now we have to get to the scariest part of designing, the blank canvas. This is always the scariest bit. So generally we can keep our references up on the side somewhere, but I've been thinking about this idea for a while now. So I pretty much have it figured out in my head of what it's going to look like. So we are just going to discuss what I'm thinking about. All right. So first we have our canvas here. Let me get into a more comfortable setup here. All right. So on my left side here, my left hand, I have a Razer Tartarus keyboard. It looks like, see if I can show you. It looks like this. Razer Tartarus V2. So it looks like this thing. Okay. This is a great, just a great like either left hand. I don't know if they make right hand versions. I'm not sure. But I'm sure you can find like a different brand that may have like a right hand version. But the Razer Tartarus is great to have with your keyboard. So that way you can paint with one hand or illustrate or whatever you're doing with your right hand. But your left hand can just stay on this like macro keyboard that you've assigned to keyboard shortcuts. So instead of having to, you know, the classic, like what I used to do in college, where I'd be painting and then I'd have to put the pen down and then do like actual keyboard shortcuts, Control S, Control T, Control Shift J, or whatever, which is not that big of a problem, but it does get really tedious to have to like stop what you're doing and do that, stop what you're doing and do that. Where if you have your left hand here and your right hand going, you just never have to stop. You can just keep doing whatever you do, and I can just press one key to save, one key to transform, one key to fill in the area, you know, stuff like that. So I'm not sponsored by Razer or anything, but I am a big fan of Razer Tartarus, so feel free to try that out. Of course, it is a bit pricey depending on which one you get, but I am a huge supporter of having like some kind of macro keyboard on the left here. It's just very helpful. So the scariest part of design in general, Thanos like this. So the scariest design part in any project is starting with a blank canvas. And the reason why is because you're overwhelmed, right? You have, where do I start? You know, the hardest part about skateboarding is stepping out the door. The hardest part about working out is walking in the door of the gym. This is a problem, I think, in any aspect in life where you just have to start doing it and then we'll figure it out from there. So what I like to do, instead of staring at a blank canvas, is I like to just grab an image that I'm going to be using anyways for the piece. So generally there are references that I have of, I have so many freaking references, but like photos that I've paid for, photos that I've taken myself, or royalty-free photos. So there's this shot that I like that I put into the art Bible as well. Apparently it is gigantic. I didn't realize it was that large because this canvas is already 4K. So what is this, like? What is this, like 9K? This is a big one. So let me shrink this down a bit. So shrink. What up, Ian? How's it going? Welcome to the stream where I try not to panic because I have to speed run an art piece. All right, so there. Now we don't have a blank canvas. Now we have something to look at. We're just going to take it from there. Now, I'm doing concept art. This is not a let's say like a finished marketing illustration or anything like that. So we don't have to focus too much on like every tiny detail being perfectly rendered out and not broken. But I like to break my images to kind of do like when you look in the clouds and you can see a shape of something like that. So I like to break the images so that way we can kind of get the ball rolling. So I'm gonna throw. The AI is coming. No. So I have to. I'm just gonna throw some stuff onto. I'm just gonna chuck some images on here. We're gonna get the ideas flowing, and we're just gonna go from there. So first things first, we need to figure out the composition. Now, the composition that I had in my head, I'm going to make this a little bit transparent so I can show you easier, was something like this, where I want this to be the sight line, okay? So I want this right here in the middle to be the center frame composition. What I mean is that I want character one here, okay? And then character 2, which would be the fox, Kitsune spirit, I want them to be like here. But because they're massive, what I was thinking is they would be like, let's say here-ish. That's my perfect rendition of a fox head. So take that as you will. So I want like their head to be here, and then the main character like here, and then have it outlined by this torii gate here, which would be cool. Now, for the rest of the shot, what I was thinking was you would have the kitsune's body going this way. Perfect. just so good at drawing a fox. Look at that. It's great. so we have a great fox here. And then on this side on the left, I was thinking that it would have, you know, the tombstones and everything like that, like here, something like this. But then I would want the actual staircase to kind of come down a bit, maybe. Maybe not. We could also just have it go straight just for clarity reasons, because the way the shot is, if we have the staircase go down, you can't see it. So might as well just have it go straight across. And then we'll have some more tombstones here and here. Maybe some like lanterns or something. And then here in the middle, right here in the dead center. So we have the two characters, yeah. But I was thinking we would have a shrine right here in the dead center to kind of set the tone for the mystical Asian vibe quality that we got going on here. So this would be the Kitsune shrine. So we would have the actual fox statue like sitting here with his pointy ears, and he's just kind of chilling here with like some candles and incense burning, something like that. I mean, honestly, we could sell this. Like this is great. This is fine right here. And no, Ian, this is not part of my personal project. This is a completely separate project because of one, like legal reasons, you know, showing my personal stuff, and then also two, I have a ton of like dark, creepy stuff in my portfolio because I love horror movies, games, etc. But for this, I wanted to have something more vibrant, more colorful, less dirty, more like mystical. Just something different for the old portfolio. But yeah, so this is the idea for the shot. Fox is here. We would have, again, some more tombstones here. And then maybe like some tree branches kind of coming through here like this. And then around here as well. Just something to kind of frame the shot. Nothing too major, I think. So, yeah, something like that is what I'm picturing. Will it turn out exactly like that? It never does. But we'll get as close as we can. So let's, figure it out. So I'm going to leave that as a separate layer on top, just as a reference of like where we started and then where it ended up, just because it's cool to see like a morale boost of like how far you've come in the shot so far. So let's fix this back to 100, and then let's get to figuring this out. Now, first step, we could focus on the environment, because we know the two characters. We know where they're going. We don't have to worry about framing them in a certain way. Like, we know they're going right in the center, a little off left and right, and then we know the fox is going to take up this entire side of the shot. So first we should figure out the environment. I'm thinking that we throw in some gravestones first and kind of just go from there. We also need to figure out the color scheme, because right now this is all green and very, very bright with the sky. So we're going to fix that tone as well. So let's do that. I have a ton of reference folders over here that I'm just kind of skimming through. So if you see me look over here, it's because there's secrets that I gotta hide while I look for these references as well. So let's go to Japan, and let's start throwing some things in here. Let's we've got a couple of shots of stones, but like we don't want something that's perfectly in perspective, because it doesn't really matter too much. We're really just kind of getting the idea on paper right now. Something like this is cool. I like this. So notice in this shot, this is from a Japanese graveyard. You have, this says Utsune. I think that's what that says. So you have this kind of verticality to everything. Like everything's like a straight up tombstone instead of it being like a European graveyard where it's just a flat graveyard with just a bunch of like tombstones laid out in a pattern. This is more going up a hill, so there's like stairs going up to the tomb so that way people can visit their family or whatever they need to do. I like that idea of like this unlevel ground, so we're gonna play with that. So hey T-Scar, no worries. We actually started early, so if you're late when we start early, then I guess you're right on time. So we are going to just throw some things in here. Let's do, I like darker color most of the time, simply because it knocks out any kind of highlights of the sky, which means we can just add it later. I said most of the time because as you can see right now, it is a jumbled nightmare. So we're just going to play around with this list of filter options and see what we like. Lighter color might come through, but it's too bright. Yeah. Pin light's going to be too harsh, so we'll probably have to fix it. All right, so we're going to do darker color, and we're just going to darken the color some more. Just a smidge, so we can get the shapes down, because that's what we really want, is just crank up the highlights. And then something like you're gonna be like, what is he doing? That looks terrible. I know it does. I'm well aware it looks bad. I'm just trying to set it so I can see. So so we can see that right now the tombstones I think are too large, but if we put them like here, let's kind of grab this piece like this, and then around here kind of just get this little piece. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're just winging it at the moment. We're not going to be focused too much on how clean everything is yet. Let's just kind of grab this. I like this one tombstone here. This is nice. And this is, like I said, we're winging it, so we may not even use this in the final piece, but at the moment we can use it as a starting point. So that's cool. I don't like this giant lantern here, right here in the back. So we're just going to content aware, get that out of there. And this lantern over here with the yellow building. The yellow building, I think, is too distracting and then also breaks the fantasy feel that we're going for anyways. So we're just going to content aware fill and see what it does when I take that lantern out. Not great. So let's keep that walkway in there because I like the lighting. Okay, now let's try it again. Just gonna grab the Torii gate because it's nearby. So let's just do that and see what happens. That's better. We're gonna cover that red anyways. So, all right, so we have the left set up a little bit, the right, again, we're breaking stuff. You know, this is not gonna look great until we really get some stuff going in here. This is cool, I think, for a lighting example for the middle shrine. This is cool. I really like this canopy lighting that we got going on with these graveyard shots. So we're just going to place that probably like there. Again, we can try darker color, lighter color, probably darker color again, and then we'll just play with it from there. So darker color, let's darken that color. Let's do some midtones, crank the highlights, make it stand out some more. Okay, so we are going to actually keep this ground because I like this mossiness to it, but the trees in the back need to go. So we're going to, well, do they need to go? I don't think so. Yeah, generative fill. I've tried it. I've tried it out. Not a huge fan. It feels what's the word? Not there yet. You know, like it feels. It's like it's trying to do something, but it never does what I want it to do. Content aware though, I like because it will use whatever I've already put on the image to fill in a space, and it always comes out broken, which I like because broken stuff is what we can fix. If it comes out perfect, then you're kind of locked into the idea where if it's broken, you can kind of make it your own. So I do like these trees in the back. So we're going to actually just keep that. I'm just going to blend it in a little bit better. So that way it's not so obvious that there's just like a image placed there. So just do some of that on the softer edge. Okay. So let's get that little corner. There. So now let's add some more in there. Let's see what we got. Again, put on whatever music you like. I can't for copyright reasons on the stream. Normally I do listen to music and I have my vinyls that I talked about last time. If you need a suggestion for something to listen to, big fan of like video game soundtracks and movie soundtracks. So you can go ahead and put on like what do we got? There's a great anime called Belle. It is I have the box set over here. Grab that. So there we go. So this anime right here, Belle. Huge fan. Phenomenal soundtrack. And it's like a double animation style. I don't know if you ever seen Code Lyoko way back in the day, but it's like that idea where it's a 2D anime style, but once they go into this kind of video game world, it turns into like a 3D animation, and it's really cool. Huge fan. Great music. Where was I? Okay, yeah. Tombstones, right. We got to continue. We've got some cool stuff in here, but nothing that's like popping out to... This is cool. Let's try this. So this is another shot from assuming the same graveyard that we've been using, but I like this perspective if we use it on the bottom right. So we're going to do transform, flip horizontal. There we go. Okay, so if we go ahead and probably darker color again. The trees are really doing us in right now. So you know what? We're going to just go ahead and take those out before. So let's go ahead and just probably, honestly, composition-wise, we could put it like here. I think that'd be cool. And then we'll just cut out. First off, cut these guys out. Content aware. And there you go. So we'll just go ahead and cut out something like here, I think would be cool. I'm just gonna very rough cut out these tombstones. I don't like that big bright one, so we're gonna leave that out. And then we'll just cut out the rest of the trees. There we go. Boom. All right. So this navigator up here is a great idea at any point in your process to leave this up here kind of small, because it gives you a you know that idea where people say the squint so you can see what your piece looks like from far away. Same idea, but it's always there on your screen, so you don't have to get up and walk away to see your screen smaller. You don't have to squint. It's just a very tiny thumbnail right there that you can just see how your piece is turning out so far. So from what I can tell, the bottom left is too dark. So we're going to probably just lighter color that. Yeah, we'll leave it dark. So we're just gonna darker color this side as well to match. And then when we add the images for the what am I doing? Levels. There we go. When we add the images for the fall colors, that's when we're going to really adjust the values. So right now we're kind of just trying to figure out what is here on this image. So this is cool. We're going to grab that, leave that out. There we go. Okay, so we have a vague understanding of some tombstones here and a vague understanding of tombstones here. We have a vague shrine in the middle, and now we have our places for the two characters to go. So we could add the characters now, or we could continue to figure out the forest and then add the characters. And I think the forest would be a better idea, simply because once we get the color of the forest down, getting the color of the characters would be easier because we understand the lighting of the area. So let's find some cool foresty fall colors of images that we like. So let's go to Chrome again, and let's go to Unsplash, and let's try some I don't know, Zen Garden, maybe that'll work. Yeah, something like this. I like this, especially with the God rays coming in. Those are cool. So yeah, and you know what? This has an element that we didn't think about. So the rocks, the natural rock formations around here, at the moment we just have it flat, but these natural rock formations are nice because you have, one, they have moss growing on them, but then two, you have this like smooth, rounder shape rocks, which gives more of a mystical, serene feeling to the scene. So I think we're gonna use that for sure. I use Unsplash again because Unsplash has a lot of royalty-free stuff. This is Unsplash Plus, this piece, so we can't use that one. But yeah, I think this shot will work. The thing is what I'm not a huge fan of is, let's hit download. That Unsplash images are generally like photoshopped already, so they're generally edited, so they have a lot of color fix and the contrast changes and everything like that, instead of it just being like a raw shot of nature. So Unsplash can have some cool stuff on it, but then sometimes it can have some really heavily edited stuff that you're not going to want to use in your shots. So, you know, it's a pros and cons thing. So we're going to throw that in there. It is very washed out because of the God rays. As far as the colors go, I wanted them to be a bit more saturated than that. So we are going to fix that. But first, we're just going to throw that on there as a way to introduce some color. Yeah, that's cool. Darker color is my favorite as always. Lighter color, pen line, darker color it is. All right, so darker color, we're going to increase the color. Saturation, just gonna bump it up a little bit. It's probably too much. Probably like there. And then we will adjust the level so that way it doesn't look like a nightmare. Now remember, I'm just focusing on the top image here, just up here. I'm not looking down here, because this is just for introducing some orange tones into the trees themselves. So could do like there, I think would be cool. It is also creating this really cool tree formation right here. It's going like this next to the shrine, and then it's got these like flat leaves like this. Those are cool. I like that. So we're gonna make sure we keep that in there. Now, to fix the lighting, because some things are way too, what's the word? Messy at the moment. We can just kind of delete some of that we put in there. I don't like this being so far over. Let me try it there instead. Delete that. So we have some cool stuff coming through. It's working out pretty well. Again, this looks like a nightmare. I'm well aware. This is just my process of where I like to break a lot of things and then see where it's going. So let's throw in the same piece, duplicate it, but put it under lighter color. Okay. And then we can play with the values. And now we're working on the bottom. So we're just going to bring in some of that green. Because right now it's just too dark at the bottom. But I do like that green. So we're going to kind of do like that, I think. Especially this green right here in the bottom right. That looks neat. So we're going to just keep that, but get rid of that wateriness to it. There we go. Kind of just soften that in. Less jarring. Okay. I do like these rocks that are popping in here, right here. You can see them there. Those are cool. So we're going to keep those. And we're going to get rid of this, I think. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Okay. And probably keep this tree poking through like that. So we're just going to delete some of that. That's cool. This is coming out pretty cool, I think. Again, the lighting is very dull at the moment. Like if I flattened this and I went into the levels, you could see the midtones are just the only thing. There's like barely any highlights, barely any shadows. So it's like you turned HDR off or something. But at the moment, the idea is coming through, I think, and it looks cool. So yeah, we did lose some of the shrine or the tombstones right here, so we're just gonna bring those back in. Let's do it like this. Let's grab some of the tombstones like that. Here we go. Okay, so now we can kind of see that they're there. Okay, so I think color-wise, we're probably set as far as the idea goes. We do need to add some snow though, so let's go back and find some snow. If I type in snowy forest, it's gonna be it's just gonna be like a dead forest with a bunch of snow. Maybe like fall forest, maybe. But I feel like that's just gonna show a bunch of leaves. We want a combination. Yep. It's doing exactly what I thought it would do. All right, let's try fall forest with snow. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. Okay, so let's just do snowy forest, and we're gonna fake it. Snowy forest. Yeah, this is way too thick of a snow. We need something that's got like some grass poking through. Here we go. That's nice. I like that. It's kind of a dark green with some snow and some twigs. So maybe we can play with that. This one's a bit better, I think. This one's got some snow mixed in with the grass itself instead of it just being patchy. This is cool. Yeah, we're just gonna try that. All right, so let's download that. Enlarge, please. Okay, and then let's head back to our image. Let's bring that over, and we are going to see if it works. It's most of my process is like, does this work? No? Okay, throw it away. Let's do probably a lighter color because it's snow. Or maybe pen light? No, lighter color. So let's flatten it a bit to fit the perspective some more. Whoops. There we go. Okay. And then adjust to the horizon line. So like there. Okay, now, do we want normal? Because normal's cool, but darken. That is the question. It's always the question. If we do darken, we lose the snow, but we keep the twigs. If we do lighten, we get the snow, but it's too bright. All right, so we're gonna do lighter color. The difference, by the way, between lighten and lighter color and darken color is that darken brings in the values, darker color brings in the values, but tries to keep some of the color that's involved as well. So let's say you had something blue and then you threw in darken over something green or something yellow. It would kind of just add like a darker tone to the yellow. But if you did darker color, then the blue would mix with the yellow underneath and it turn into like a greenish, that kind of idea. I like darker color and lighter color because it gives more variety to the colors that are being used. So let's fix this nightmare. Let's do like here-ish, something like that, I think. And then let's adjust the levels. So go to levels. That white is too white, of course. But at the moment, if we kind of bring in some of the midtones, like that, and then we go to color balance and add in some of the blue of the surrounding area, I think it'll fit in better. Some of the warm as well. Okay, so again, if you look at this, it doesn't look great. However, if you look into the thumbnail, you can see that this is creating a focal point of the middle. So that's cool, and we like that, but it is a little too bright, so I think we'll just kind of tone the whole thing down a smidge. Probably like there. And then because it's a focal point in the middle, we're going to add it to the middle area like this. We're just going to use some content aware to kind of stretch out some of that white. There we go. Let's do some of this, kind of blend in the edges a bit. Okay, cool. All right, neat. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some depth. And that's one thing we're losing right now, is that everything's very just flat on top of each other. There's not like a lot of distinguishing depth. So we're gonna fix that. A very quick way to fix that is if you do like, I learned this from Feng Zhu, very famous concept artist. If you take the mask tool, you know, this lasso tool, and you, let's say you highlight something. So let's do like this rock over here. If I highlight this rock like this, and then Control-Shift-I to switch to the inverse, and switch this to like a soft brush. And generally I go to screen for this, but it just depends on what I'm doing. So if we grab some of this color in here, we can then kind of, probably not orange, let's do, well, I think orange is fine. So we'll do just a little bit of a lighter pass behind the object, and now you can clearly see that rock. You know, it creates like this depth, even though in reality, what you're doing is your brain is trained. Everybody's brain is trained from just growing up that if you look at let's say like a mountain range, so yeah, like this. So if you look at these mountains, you can tell that the fog is creating depth because you have the further away something is, the lighter it is, because the fog is creating like this atmospheric depth to it. Now because of that, we can use that in our pieces. So even if something's only like 10 feet away, you can kind of fake some depth in there by darkening whatever's close and lightening whatever's further away. And you can see this in a lot of pieces. If you just go to if you just Google concept art, honestly, and you'll see like this. The foreground is dark, the midground is mid, and then the background is light, and then the very far background is super light. Not that it would actually look like that, but it will just, it just helps your brain understand depth easier, and it's all over the place. Light in the back, dark in the foreground. If you reverse the idea, and have it where it's light in the front and dark in the background, you actually create a different feeling of a, let's see if I type in horror concept art. We'll probably do this on ArtStation in case something gross comes up. So horror concept art. Ooh, careful now. Concept art. Thank you. Concept art. And if we go to something that uses like a flashlight, if you lighten the front and darken the back, then it ends up creating something like this, where you have this flashlight feeling because everything in the front is lit up, but everything in the back is darker. So it creates like a horror feeling, which is interesting, I guess, psychologically, that all you're doing is reversing the same idea, where you just add light in the back to create depth, darken in the front. But by reversing it, your brain's like, this isn't normal. just naturally, straight up, your brain is like, this feels like something scary, just because you're not used to it, because it's dark and you should be afraid of it, I guess, by putting it in light in the front, dark in the back. Yeah, that's just something I've noticed. I don't know if there's been like any studies on that, but that's just something I've picked up on. But anyways, we're going to use this trick where we darken the front, lighten the back, and that'll add some depth to the piece. Now, what I do like to do is I like to add in color from the environment whenever I do this, instead of it just being white fog. Yeah, adding fog like that is just like a very common thing to do. So I am going to add fog in some form, but we're going to treat it as the environment's fog. So in this case, it would be these like warmer colors, just because I think it'd be cool. The warmer colors would be cool. So if we just kind of play around with that, I think it'll add a lot of depth to the piece. And you're also going to see that even though I have them all layered together like this, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate them and merge them into one. And the reason why I do that is this has now created like a checkpoint. So it's like, oh, I like this idea so far, so I know none of this is going to change. So we'll just go ahead and merge it into one. So that way you get the benefits of working on like a small amount of layers, while then keeping the benefits of working on a lot of layers, because you can just use a checkpoint and then go back and fix that one thing. So for example, right now, if I try to select something, it's selecting everything because it's all one layer, right? But if I was, 3 or 4 checkpoints past this, and I was like, man, this one plant right here, or this one rock right here, I want to select it, but trying to select it with everything else in the layer is hard to do. I can just go back to the piece that I used and then just select from there, which is probably this one. Or not. I don't know. It's one of these. Actually, it's probably this one, right? Is that one? Yeah, it's that one. So I can just go over here and select that layer and then come back to the checkpoint and work on the individual layer that way. It's kind of like versioning, you know, in programming and stuff like that. So it's not anything mind-blowing, but it is something that people always argue. Do you use a lot of layers? Do you like a couple layers? I use both because it just helps. So depth. Let's get to that. We can delete that because there's nothing on there. Cool. So first, we're going to add some depth to the focal point, which is in the middle. To do so, we're going to separate this Torii gate from everything else. Doesn't have to be too perfect. We're kind of just doing our own thing here. And we're just going to highlight around it. Now, we're going to highlight the whole thing to give us the option, but we're probably not going to add depth and fog to the whole thing. Just enough. There. Straighten that up. Okay. So, I missed the middle piece. What a dingus. All right. Let's do that. There. There. God, I'm doing great. Let's go around. That. Do the same thing on this side. There. So now we Control-Shift-I, which selects the inverse of whatever we selected. And then we are going to add some depth to this. So we are going to use screen, because screen, the more you do it, the brighter it gets like that. I don't like this orange being so saturated for this though. So we're going to desaturate it a bit. Brighten it. Okay. And we're just going to add a little bit of depth. Just a little bit to kind of emphasize that there's like these God rays coming through. We're just going to do like that. Okay. Maybe some like here. Even though that's where the fox is going to be. Okay. Maybe a little brighter. Let's do color dodge. Now that we have some light going in there, we can just add a little bit more brightness to it. Okay. So that's adding a little bit of depth, just a smidge on the gate itself, just enough to add some ideas that it's in the midground. And then we're going to do the same thing with these statues and these rocks and stuff in the front. So let's just grab some of these. Now, it's going to look like I'm just grabbing random ones. I'm not exactly grabbing random tombstones here. I'm just roughing out the general outline of them. So that way we can just do it real quick and not have to worry about how perfect it is. Let's go like there. There's nothing actually here. I'm creating my own tombstones, or implying that there are tombstones here by adding some more shapes. So we're gonna do the same thing here, and then let's do some here and some here. The rocks are there, which is cool, so I'm gonna keep those. Do some of that. Just gonna add some variety and height here. Okay. I never know what to say while I'm just highlighting things like this. So I'm just going to talk about music. So the Bell movie, phenomenal soundtrack. The main character's name is Suzu, which is Japanese for like an actual bell that rings. Yeah. And the movie is kind of like a twist on the Beauty and the Beast story. It's really cool. But another great Japanese anime to watch, especially with us being in the film and game industry, is Pompo the Cinephile. And them as well. So this one, this is another great movie. It's a movie about making movies, okay, which are always pretty fun. But it is gorgeous, and the way they do it is just like the art style of it and the overall wholesome feel. Really, just a great movie to watch and inspire, really, because it kind of sometimes you got to get inspired, motivated to keep working. Not necessarily like you should only focus on work in life, but sometimes things get in the way and you kind of lose your motivation of like, oh, it's Thursday and I'm just so tired of working. So sometimes you might need to find a way to get that motivation back. What I'm doing right now, by the way, is I'm trying to grab a color from the scene and use that to bring out some of these tombstones, because using the god rays up close like this would work, but it would add some monotony to the scene, and I don't want to do that. So we're gonna just try to grab something that's slightly different, but still works. Do something like that, I guess. All right, so we're just gonna desaturate it a bit, I think. And just gently add some depth. And you'll see that I'm focusing towards the top of the selections that I have here, because the bottom of them wouldn't be that distinct from their environment. Oh, I'm on color dodge, no wonder. I was wondering why it was so bright. All right, so let's do that. Okay. There. All right, so now in the thumbnail, we can tell that this part on the bottom left is still too dark. So we're just gonna keep going with some general depth here. We're gonna add a little bit more. And then we are going to grab that rock that we grabbed earlier, because I like this rock right here. This one neat little rock. Go. And Control Shift I. I also like to do Control H because it hides the selection, and then we can see it live as we adjust it. Okay, let's do something like that, just to kind of add a little bit of depth to that rock. Neat. All right. Okay, so we have this rock over here. We can mess with that. And then we also have this tree right here with some branches. We can play around with that depth as well. Okay, Control Shift I. Whoops, that was J. Well, my bad. Control Shift I. We're gonna just kind of do some of that, and then deselect this because it's too close. Go. And then add just a smidge of depth to that rock. Okay. So now things are poking through. You don't want to use it too much or else things start to look like they're glowing like lanterns. So now we need to add the characters, I think. We also need to adjust the lighting. That's another problem. So if we go to image and then auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color are nice. Auto color will just add a bit of like what Photoshop thinks the colors should be. And I like to use these three not because I'm lazy and I don't want to do the adjustments myself, but because it comes across accidents that you may not have thought of. So when I did auto color, it's adding a bit more blue to the shadows, which I like that more than the green that we had before. So I'm going to keep auto color, but then auto contrast and auto tone will change the lighting and the tone. But because we don't have like an obvious light source at the moment, it's very overcast feeling, it didn't change much. So we're going to add our own lighting. To do this, we're going to fake it again. So this is a fun one. So what I like to do is I like to take my lasso tool and just kind of, this is for canopy lighting specifically. We're adding these like this like forest lighting, you know. So we're just gonna kind of add a little bit in here, a little some spottiness, and we want to focus more on where our characters are and less on the shadowed parts because we don't want to distract too much from the main characters. Now that we have some of the floor established, we're going to add a little bit around the outside here. This is just to kind of fill in the piece and make it a bit more cohesive, but not enough to distract from the main focal point of the image. Now, being that it's canopy lighting, it's not exactly coming from, I mean, of course it's coming from one direction, it's the sun, but it's not exactly coming from our point of view, it's coming from above somewhere. So we want to kind of just have it look like it's coming from a certain direction, but because it's canopy lighting, it's not entirely obvious where it's coming from, just because of the nature of leaves breaking up the lighting and branches and everything getting in the way, whatnot. So then we want to add slight bit of rim lighting on this Torii gate. I think would be cool. Let's delete some of that. Just enough on there. Because it is above the sight line, so we wouldn't see above the gate. But just because of the style of the gate, we would see a little bit of lighting on the rim. This is just to add, again, some more depth and cohesiveness to the lighting, and your brain will kind of fill in the space. Now, what I'm thinking lighting wise is that the lighting's coming from the top left, so we're going to just add a little bit of rim light on this left side of these columns of the gate, and you'll see me kind of just drag a straight line with the lasso tool. And that's because naturally humans can't, I mean, you probably could draw a really straight line, but if you just quickly do a straight line, the lasso tool will pick up on any kind of inconsistencies, and it'll create not a straight line, but a bit more of a natural line, which is nice. So Control H so we can see what we're doing here. And we're gonna grab some pin light, or like a rim light. So this is gonna be something warmer because it's gonna be the sun. Probably like that. And then we're just gonna go ahead and paint it in. Now for this, this is gonna take some adjusting, but we're just gonna paint it all in at once first. And you can see what I was going for here with everything kind of lit up. Now, what I mean by adjusting is because of the values of it, how bright it is, and the colors. So we're gonna crank that brightness up a bit, and the values of it as well need to be adjusted so it's a bit less saturated, maybe like there. Okay, and then we can play around with some of these light and color dodge and all that, so that way it kind of fits more into the piece instead of it just looking like a layer that we threw on top. Pin light's always nice. I like pin light a lot when it comes to highlights. Hard mix is cool, but it's too harsh. All right, so we're gonna do pin light. Pin light's fine. And then we'll take our dodge tool and we'll kind of just adjust the values. Now you're gonna see that I'm making it darker in certain areas. With the dodge tool, that's because I'm holding Alt on my tartars here. So if you Alt and then use the dodge tool, it will do the opposite. So instead of doing a dodge, it'll burn. So we can kind of just use that to tone it down a little bit. And then also add some variety to the lighting instead of it just being all one solid shade. There's not a huge thought process behind what I'm doing right now. This is more just, I call it noodling, which is where I kind of just play around with it and see what feels right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we have a bit of a rim light going in now, which is nice. But in doing so, I'm noticing that this light of the snow in the middle there, down here, is too flat. So we're just going to do some overall value adjustments on the layer itself. So let's delete our selection, and we're just going to adjust the entire piece as is, which would be midtones mostly. Yeah. So we're going to add a bit more of a brightness to the middle here. Exposure around 20. I can't get the, it's 19 or 21. I could, all right, whatever, that's fine. We're going to increase some of the brightness here, just overall, just so it's less dull, more mystical, you know? All right, hit the highlights. Okay, highlights in the middle would be too harsh, I think, so we're just gonna hit the side ones a little bit, just a smidge. You don't wanna blast your highlights too much. All right, and then we're going to crank up our shadows a bit so they're less, not so dark and drabby. And then kind of mid-tone here to add some more color to that tree right there. Okay, so according to our navigator, this spot right here is way too bright. So we're just gonna, I think, content aware it, see what happens? No. All right, so we're just going to take the highlights, bring them back down a bit, and go from there. All right, so we need, you can see before and after, you know, if you compare them. And you can see in the before, we had a nice we had a nice contrast here that we lost. So I think we'll just bring that back, because that was like one of the last things I did. Or was that the first one I did? I'm just hitting Control Z over and over. There we go. So I think that's better. Yeah. All right. So again, we don't have to play too much on the lighting at the moment. We're just trying to figure it out. It's already been an hour. So in about 20 minutes or so, we're going to take a stand-up break, kind of walk around a minute. So now we need to figure out the characters, I think. Let's throw in Yukiko first. Let's find an image to use for that, because I think that'll be cool. Japanese lady, maybe. That's obviously not a Japanese lady. Let's see here. Japanese street clothes might be a better one to put, because then it'll show people in like actual modern Japanese fashion. We could also just paint the character in and deal with this later. We'll see. We'll do Japanese street clothes, see what happens. And go from there. Looks like it's a no-go. So, okay, so yeah. So we're just gonna have to. Ooh, well, hold on. So the character is gonna be small. But I do like this one. This lady right here with the umbrella in the middle. That's a solid silhouette to start with, I think. So I'm not seeing any better options. Yeah, okay. So let's grab this one right here. So let's download this. Go ahead and add that in there. So what we're going to do here is, I know this has nothing to do with fantasy graveyard, but we're going to grab this shape here of this person with the umbrella, because she is looking up at an angle, which is nice. Now, granted, we could just paint the character in, but anything that I can find that like speeds up the process, I will do that. So just delete everything else. I'm well aware she still has an umbrella on her. That's fine. I'm just gonna crop this. There we go. So let's add her into the middle, flip her around so she's facing the correct way, and then adjust her size. We want to see the piece as a whole, so she's gonna be probably like there-ish. Yeah, probably something like that to make her feel small compared to the fox. Maybe a little bit bigger. Well, if she's kind of far away, it'd be like there, right? Yeah, that's fine. So, if you hit this lock right here, this transparency lock, you can paint in her silhouette without worrying about anything, without selecting anything. So I'm just gonna remove her umbrella like that, and then I'm gonna fix her arm so she doesn't have it like this, and fix the scarf a bit, have her arm come down. Okay, it's a little too straight down, I think. We need to add some character, like people, humankind, normally you don't stand there with your arms directly to your side unless you're in the military, so we're going to kind of come off to the side a bit. All right, cool. Character, template, placeholder, whatever you want to call it, has been placed. So now we need to place the fox. The fox, I found this picture earlier. We even put it in the art Bible of this fox because I like, man, this is another massive one. I like the profile of this fox because it's from the side, which is what we want the shot to be, and then it's looking, actually it's looking this way. You can tell its sightline is there. So as long as we line that eye up with our character Yukiko, then we should be okay. So let's select hit select up here, subject. It'll select everything that the fox is because that's the focus point. So then we can delete everything else. And then we transform, flip horizontal. We want Foxy Boy that big, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe like, well, I don't know, that's probably fine. We're gonna put him there, then we're going to delete that leftover bit. Okay, so now the interesting part of VFX, of how do we make this fox more like a spirit. So one thing that we can do, I mean, if you do divide, it looks terrible, but we could do a pin light. Okay, so I like pin light. Makes him transparent a bit. Go ahead and adjust his color because we want him to be, you know, light blue in general. So increase the saturation. So like there. But if you do just the saturation, it's going to adjust the entire color of all of his fur. So that means the white part underneath here also changes. So we're going to do color balance instead, which adjusts everything as if you were adding color on top of it. So we're going to make his midtones blue. Something like that, give or take, and then also adjust the highlights as well to like there-ish. Yeah, something like that's cool. And then we're going to, because I don't want just an outline of a fox like this, we're going to add a little bit of a background to him, so that way he has some kind of form behind everything. So we're just gonna roughly highlight around his shape. There we go. And then we are going to paint it in just a little bit. So if we do like a dark color like this, you can see what I'm saying? Like we just created like a backdrop for him, but I still want him to be transparent. So we're gonna have a kind of like a light blue, probably. Something like that I think would be cool. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna paint it in like that, and then paint in his little feetsies as well. And then we're gonna go ahead and just rough it in back here. Okay, now, doesn't look great. So what we have to do is we need to actually just put that like that too. So then we need to adjust the levels because that'll make it look more transparent. So if we keep it light and then adjust the opacity. Oop, there we go. So something like there. So he has a form and a shape, but he still looks like a spirit because you can see through him. Now, what we need to do as well is we need to, if we merge these two, it probably won't look good. Yeah. So what we need to do is keep them separate, but we need to put him behind things. So at the moment, these tombstones and leaves and rocks and everything should be in front of him, and so should that Torii gate, right? So let's do that. And to do that, it's pretty easy. It's a bit more destructive, but all we have to do is just highlight what we want him to be behind with the lasso tool. Just like that. And then we're gonna do this rock over here, and this one right here, and then fix this edge here, and then we're gonna just kind of roughen these leaves. We can go ahead and just delete his feet down here because they wouldn't be visible, and then kind of just do this kind of thing, grab some of these leaves, yeah, like that, go. And then we just delete. So we just go to the layers and we delete both. And there you go, he's behind. Very rough, very simple way to do it. But now he has been placed behind all this stuff. Now, composition-wise, it looks weird to have him kind of just like stretched out like this with no feet showing. I understand, anatomically speaking, we know for sure that his feet would be here, so you would still be able to see him. But compositionally, we need to kind of add some emphasis on his legs, because right now it looks like a snake, like he just doesn't have any legs because there's no markings or anything showing that there were legs there. So we're just going to rough that in real quick by just kind of just do something like this. And then his feet went this way. Okay, and then we shall grab some of this lighting and just roughly add that in there as like an example of where his shoulder blade would be. Okay, and then we can kind of just soften it up a bit, like so, like that. And now if you look in the thumbnail that we have at the top there, it looks more like he actually has a structure to him, less like a floating head. We are also going to add some more fur highlights here, just some general, what do you call it, like midtones, I guess, of the fur. It wouldn't be like highlights because he's not highlighted there. It'd be more just like general detail of the fur. And the shadows, you kind of just have it kind of poke through. We want to block this part off, add some more like that. Okay, so now markings. We can add something like this cat eye feeling to his eyes. Of course he's a fox, so it would be a fox eye. But then we can add a little bit of some flowiness to his design here. Something more flowy, like that. And then we can add some to his back. So probably like here. Yeah, so something like that would be cool. Whoops. There we go. And then maybe add some detailing to kind of just add some vibes to it there. All right. And we have it going this way, so we can have an emphasis on his shoulder blade by coming up right here. And then again, add just a little bit of flowiness for the details. Little doobers. All right. And then we just add that in there. So it looks a bit more like that, which is looking cooler on the thumbnail. Okay, we can also crank up how bright that is. Cool. All right, now Yukiko, we gotta fix her. Before we do though, it has been an hour and 20 minutes or so. So I think this is a good time to chat just for like a couple minutes. Turn your brain off, stand up, walk around. I don't know, hug your pets, whatever you got. Smoke them if you got them. But while I'm standing up, I guess I could talk about some other great soundtracks you can listen to. Let's see, we've got Got Bell, of course. It's phenomenal. Tales of Arise is a Japanese RPG. Phenomenal art style. It's got this somewhat of like a watercolor feel to it, but the soundtrack is great. Classic Japanese RPG. Oh, and Scarlet Nexus. Man, love that game. Great JRPG. Phenomenal art style. Let me show you what that looks like because that game is great. Scarlet Nexus. So this game, very anime, of course, but very focused on red in general, which I like. Red, so that's cool. But art style was very modern. They called it brain punk because the world style was kind of cyberpunk, but all of the advertisements and everything, instead of them being attached to the buildings, they were digital advertisements sent directly to the characters' brains, kind of like in Altered Carbon, where they had advertisements attached to your eyes. So that kind of idea, very cool game. Just like combat's really fun, art style is really cool. Of course, weird anime story, Japanese RPG ridiculousness, but soundtrack phenomenal. And if you want an example of a song, I can't play it, but it's called Red Metropolis, Scarlet Nexus. Yeah, Suo the Red Metropolis. That song is like a great example of just the entire soundtrack. Play that song on YouTube and you're gonna get hyped up. It's like because they tried to make it fit the theme of the world, so everything's digital. So it's got like this digital feel to it, but it's very funky and just like just listening to it, you're like, yeah. It's great. Highly recommend that for sure. So let's go back to another option real quick while I'm just taking a break from staring at this piece for a while. Let's see what we got. We got Persona 5. It's another great one, very jazzy. One issue with that is that even though it is jazz heavy, which is great to listen to, there are a lot of like combat music. So it ends up creating something that like while you're listening to it while you're working, instead of you just jamming out to the jazz, it ends up turning into like combat music. So you're just like, yeah, let's go. So you get like this dichotomy between relaxing and then also getting so hyped up. That's another great one that's like not talked about enough, I think. I mean, of course, the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack's in here. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. That is just all jazz. Oh, Benny Sings. Yeah, Benny Sings. So Benny Sings. Let me pull this out. Benny Sings is not a video game or movie. He is a musician. I think he's Swedish or something. Can't remember. But he came up with this album called City Pop. Okay? And this album is phenomenal to listen to while you're working. It has this Japanese city pop feeling to it, but everything is in English, and it's all either, I don't know, funky or like just chill vibes, the whole thing. Everything I know, the song Everything I Know, is a great like sad song, but then it ends up getting funky about halfway through. But then if you want like just straight funk, you could do Late at Night by Benny Sings. That's a great one as well. It's just, man, look, super good. Just recommend the whole album, honestly. And I think we can leave it there in recommendations. I mean, I could go into my Japanese options as well, like Otto, the J-Rock, or Sayuri, Sayuri. Her stuff is great as well. So, Yeah. I don't know. I mean, whatever kind of music you guys like, but I'm just a big fan of funky, rockish soundtracks. Soundtracks are great. Soundtracks are just great when you're working in general because it doesn't have like a lot of lyrics. It doesn't have a lot of like focus to it. You can just listen to it, jam out while you're playing or while you're working. If it's like one of your favorite games soundtrack, then you get like this. You get the same feeling that you got while you're playing it. You know, it's kind of like listening to the Wii Shop music. It's just it's just jamming out. You know, you're just kind of just hanging out. So those are my musical recommendations. I will probably recommend more in the next stream, in the next break, the next stream's break. But yeah, I want to keep talking about it, but we got to get back to this painting. So let's continue. So we have this vibe of the fox and the forest and Yukiko, but we don't have Yukiko roughed in well enough. I think her color is wrong with this like brown and black to it, so we are going to fix that. So to do that, we are just going to paint it in because she is small. She is not, I mean, she's the main focus, of course, but she is not large enough to detail super high def at the moment. Now I say that, but I have done pieces in the past where I detailed very small characters. Yes, we can detail her. Do we have the time to do it? No, because I have to finish this stream in like an hour and a half. So we're going to leave her as is. We're just going to change her colors. So right now, she has this black scarf, black pants, kind of tan outfit. Not a fan of that. So we're going to do the Shinto colors that we talked about, the white and red. But in what fashion should we do that? I guess we could do. All right, first we're just gonna break her silhouette, or we're gonna. Do I have a selection? I do. All right, so first we're going to kind of just paint in her silhouette and get rid of that brown. Okay, so now she looks like she's in a cocoon. Perfect. So how do we add white and red to her? Okay, so normally I would just rough this in and then do a character design sheet later, or do a character design sheet first and then rough her in. But we don't have time. So I'm trying to figure out what her fashion would be. Got it. All right, so we're gonna do all right, so let's do like some jeans. Okay, a little desaturated. That's too bright. So let's do like some jeans, and then let's do a white shirt, which is where the white comes in that we wanted, and then have it like here, give or take, something like that. And then we'll have a jacket that is, I don't know, what would her jacket be? Her jacket would be like red, I guess. We can just throw in some red in the jacket. A little bit darker, I think. Yeah. So the jacket would be kind of red, like that. But now looking at the thumbnail, I think it's too much red. Very classic red, white, and blue. So let's do a darker color on the bottom, kind of like those black pants. Yeah, black pants work. And then we'll give her white shoes, something like that. And then let's go with we could draw in some like sucker leaves, I think, on the jacket, maybe. Or we could have the jacket also be dark with a red trim, and then have some sakura blossoms on the jacket itself. That's cool. Yeah. All right, so she's small, so we don't have to detail it too much, but this is working out, I think, compositionally and design-wise. Cool. So let's give her a bit more of a haircut, less of a beanie. Let's fix that. There we go. Whoop, that's too much. Okay. Cool. All right, now she's hard to see because she is the same color as the environment, but if we go ahead and just add some highlights to her, it'll make her stand out a bit. So to do that, we can grab some of this pin or this rim light that we're using for everything else, and just throw it on her like that. But in doing so, that's not realistic as far as like lighting choices would go. So what we're going to do is anything that's that we want her to stand out, we're just going to give her a bit of a rim lighting, just a smidge, and then we'll deal with the actual like color choices of her lighting later. So she's got that going on. We can add a add some pockets maybe because she's got jeans. So pocket would kind of be like on that side. And then we'll add some red trim to the jacket. There we go. All right, now the pants are one solid value. That should not be the case. So we're gonna add some slight, very slight lighting adjustment there to make her legs feel like more than just one mass, one blob. Shirt wise, do we want her shirt to come through underneath her jacket? Kind of like it's casual day? Like it's like a slightly oversized shirt. I think that's cool. Yeah, we'll leave that. So we'll do that. We need to add a bit of a adjustment to her jacket on this side. There we go. Something like that. So that way it looks like she hasn't. She's got like hands in her jacket pockets. So it's gonna stretch this down a bit. Go. Add a bit more of that white detailing in there. Cool. Cool. All right. Sweet. So now she doesn't have a shadow, so you can easily do that because all we have to do is just grab a shadow color, so that way it matches, and then we just match the direction of the lighting, which at the moment we have it coming from the top left. So I'll just have a very rough shadow kind of added in like that. I think looks cool. There we go. And now this is just classic painting techniques, lighting, detailing, perspective, etc. Now, one thing that we did mention at the beginning that we don't have at the moment, besides getting into the small details, is the shrine in the middle. So we don't have. First off, this is bothering me, so we're gonna fix this. We're gonna take this little bit of rock right here and copy it, paste it, flip it, grab it, put it like there, I think, and let's do darker color maybe. No, let's just do normal. Normal's fine. And then we're just gonna put it like that. And the reason why that was bothering me is because this one pillar here was standing out so much compared to the other one over there. So let's fix that like that. There. All right, so symmetrically, not a big fan of like having it perfectly symmetrical like that with the two rocks on each side. But it was bothering me that that one pillar was standing out so much, so we just had to fix that real quick. Another thing that's bothering me is down here. This one spot right there is too bright, so we're just going to content aware. That's not great, so let's do that again. It's okay, I guess. Let's do it one more time. Let's see what happens. Why do you hate me so much? Why won't you just do what I want? That's fine. I don't like that duplicate, so we're gonna try to get rid of that. That's fine for now. Okay, so that corner was bothering me. It's been fixed, and you can see in the thumbnail it looks much better right there now. All right. So the one thing though that we're missing, that we mentioned before, that needed to be in here, was that we wanted a shrine right here. Now we have a little bit of the staircase poking through, but we don't have a shrine right here. So let's see if we can find one online and go from there. Let's just, I don't know, just type in shrine, I guess, Japanese shrine. Let's see, it's gonna try to grow. Ooh, I don't like that. I do like that idea of this structure. Instead of just like a small shrine, you have like an actual structure here. Let's try that. Let's download that. See what happens. Is there anything else? This is cool because it gives a glowing lanterns feel. So we might include those as well. I think it's too blue, I think. But it is cool. I'm gonna grab this as well and see what we can do with it. Just see what happens. So let's go back. Let's grab the images we downloaded. Let's do this one first, the shrine. Let's put it above everything. All right. Now normally I do above everything when I just throw in images like this, because any kind of broken colors that may come through or like complete accidents, it ends up coming out like pretty solid. You can see a lot of that in my ArtStation work if you go to my stuff. So, so if you go here, we have like this piece I did for a sketch right before Cyberpunk came out. A lot of this like brokenness to the image. A lot of people, by the way, say I used AI in my Cyberpunk work, but it's not. It's just, I mean, besides like content aware, like filling in a space, but in general, this is all just like broken fragments from images that I threw on top of each other. If I tried to make it super clean by having images perfectly layered, this accidental fragmentation wouldn't happen, and it would miss out a lot of like the cool factor of this kind of human element that is broken. I think that's why a lot of people like traditional art in general, is because it has the human element to it, which Ian brought up with AI. AI can mimic very well, you know, but it can't have, well, I mean, I don't want to say it can't, because of course everybody can do whatever they want, but like Theo Prinz, right? Let's look at his stuff. So Theo Prinz was for Guild Wars 2, I think, and his work is crazy. His color harmonies are insane, but this like broken feeling to his pieces, where everything's kind of just put together in a rendered fashion that feels like a bunch of like jagged, broken elements to it. That's really cool, and I'm sure AI could emulate it at some point, but this feeling of like brush strokes and brokenness to a piece really helps cement that like human nature to it, you know, that a human created it, because it's not perfect, it's not super rendered. That's why I'm not a huge personally, my personal opinion, I'm not a huge fan of extremely like the illustrations like hyper realistic. I think that's what it's called. Hyper realism. Yeah. So like hyper realism art, like these charcoal drawings of like humans and whatever else, that are perfectly done. The talent, and the skill involved is massive. It's just style wise, I'm more of a fan of like stuff like this, where it's got more brokenness to it. It's more perfect in its imperfections, kind of thing. That I really like the most. That really stands out to me the most. And I try to keep that in my work as well, where I have broken, like for example, this gate right here with the trees kind of poking through, because the tree picture that we used put on, like, became part of the gate. That wasn't planned, and I understand that it doesn't look perfect. It looks wrong a little bit, but I just like it. I think it's cool. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving it there. I've seen it. I don't know if you've been yelling at me through the text or not, like internally, like fix this. But I've seen this. It's just I like the colors that it added to the gate right here. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving it there. Whenever we get to the like polished phase, I'm going to actually keep those colors in, but kind of just like line them out so it looks less like a tree was put there and more like it's the texture on the gate. But as far as like the brokenness throughout the piece, I'm a huge fan of that. So I'm gonna leave most of that. Now, if this is a client that's like, we want it this way, we want it that way, of course I can't do that. And I'll have to clean it up, and it takes me hours to do so. But, this is our piece. This is what we want to do. So that's what I'm going to do. So we are going to grab this shrine, and we're going to add it to the center here. I like the staircase. I think it may be too big, like too tall. So we're just going to grab the shrine. I wonder if I select subject, if it'll grab the shrine. That's not even close to the subject. Let's try that again. Is that just gonna grab? Wow. Is it because it's in darker color that it thinks that this is the subject? Hold on, select subject. Wow, it just thinks that this spot right here is a subject. Yeah, when the person was taking this picture, they're like, yeah, no, this corner right here is what everybody's really wanting to look at. Okay, so let's do darker color then. And we're just gonna fake grab everything. So we're just gonna see how everything is. Kind of just guess on where the silhouette is. And go like that. Probably like there. Okay. Delete everything else. Cool. Now we are going to, we do normal, what's it look like? Yeah. All right, so now we're going to take the roof and darken that a bit, so that way it stands out. So take the levels, kind of just drop it down a bit, like that. Probably like there. So we get a bit of the detailing coming through the roof without it being pitch black. And then that's all fine, I think. It is behind the fox. It's supposed to be behind the fox. So we are going to delete the portion that we don't want covering the fox, which is like here. Like that. Go. Delete. Boom. So now we have a shrine. It is covering Yukiko, which I just noticed, which I think we can just soft bring her in. All right. Cool. So now we have a shrine there. It's bringing in some of the color of the trees onto the actual roof, which is great because that's like if leaves fell onto it. We just need to add some lighting to it because right now it's just too dark, and we need to adjust the colors. So color balance, we're going to add a bit more warmth to it because it is further away. something like there. Less green. Okay. Yeah, so that fits better, I think. And then we need to add lighting to it. To do that, we are going to do the same thing we did with the rim light, where we just take the lasso tool and we're just going to add a bit to the edge here. Something like that. It's very asymmetrical shrine. So we need to, oh, I see it. Okay. So the edge is actually here. And then it goes down, and then it comes up like this, and then it comes back up. Okay. So then we're just going to add a little bit of an edge like that. Okay, and then we're going to delete some of that just to have it kind of poke through but not actually be a major distraction. This is curved, so we're going top left. So if the light's coming this way, then this part of the arch right here in the middle would be lit up more than the rest of it. So let's kind of break some of that up, break some of that, delete it off the fox. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit of lighting to the, I don't know what you call them, the supports that are going across the roof. I'm not entirely sure what they're called. They're like the little tiny, the lines, like they're not shingles. They're like the grooves that go across. Those are cool. And we're just going to emphasize that. And then we're going to emphasize a little bit here because it's coming from the top left. And then a little bit on the actual roof itself, like the tippy tip. Okay. Now, I'm also thinking we could add some on the stairs. So right here, whoop, right here, whoop, right, okay, right there, there we go. Right here, right there, right there, right there, right there, a little bit there. Just enough to kind of bring out the staircase. Okay. And then a smidge here. There's not actually anything here, detailing wise, but if we go ahead and highlight here and add some shadows right there, it'll look like there's a structure that goes all the way to the ground. So I'm just kind of going to fake that. All right, so let's add these colors, go across, and now you can see that it stands out a lot more. We don't want it to stand out that much. We're just going to kind of roughly add some lighting in here. We're gonna focus more again on this left side because that's where the lighting is coming from. Add a little bit on this side. Okay, a little bit on the stairs. And then we're gonna grab those shadows and throw them in right here. So that way it looks like a structure's coming down. Cool. Cool. I'm liking it. I'm digging it. Okay. So now let's work on the next problem. Well, actually, we still have that lantern picture we picked up. We could throw that in there. See what it looks like. Doesn't it look great? All right, so let's just shrink this down. Why are they so massive? I'm grabbing them in large, but this is not supposed to be more than 4K. All right, so let's just do something like this where we just want the lanterns to be lighter color or pen light. Pen light looks nice. Probably pen light. All right. Now it's adding a bit of a green to everything, which looks cool ethereally, you know, like it makes everything look more ethereal, ghostly. But of course it looks crazy. So I'm not thinking we can use this for anything. However, I would like to see what would happen if we play with those colors. So if we go to filter and then go to blur and then motion blur, we can blur the like absolute crap out of that image to where we get just some ideas of the colors, not directional that we want to go up and down. Yeah. So this may look like a jumbled mess. Carnation, Lily, Lily, Rose by Sargent. What is that? Carnation, Lily, Lily, Rose. It's a painting. I see. I should have known that. I'll bring it over here so people can see it. So it's this painting. That does look cool. And it does look cool. Thank you for bringing that up. But it does also point out what I was just about to say, that the image, the lanterns that I just placed looks crazy on top of our piece. But the colors here, I'm a big fan of, because it shows the lantern lighting in this like dark shadowed area. So this is something we need to keep in mind for later, I think, where we could add some lantern lighting in here, because even though we have the sunlight poking through, we could have a couple of lanterns hanging around. I think that'd be cool. But I don't know, do we... Because if we do that, then the bright orange will distract from the glowy blue of the fox and any kind of tombstones nearby that are glowing. But it does also emphasize it because it's orange and blue. I don't know. That's a question. That is a question. We'll leave that for later. We'll think about that later. We'll just leave that as a layer hidden, just so we can remember later. All right, so now the next problem that we gotta fix is, I'm looking at the thumbnail, and right now there's not enough blue. So the fox is blue, we got that, but there's not enough blue anywhere else. So we want to add a bit of this like glowy blueness to some of these tombstones nearby. And so we're going to just kind of imply that they're there. So we're just going to do like some cracks in perspective, of course. So we have to follow the shot that we have going on here. So the cracks kind of come this way in the floor. Let's do some of that, some of there, some like there, whoops, some like there. And then we want to throw in some symbols on the tombstones. So we can have just like a little bit of a fake writing system, because this is not actually Chinese or Japanese. So we're just going to add in our own little language emphasis here. So let's do something like that. This is going to be really small stuff, but it'll look cool once we do enough of it. And not here, because that's well, I guess we could turn this. This is actually a lantern right here, but we could turn it into a tombstone if we wrote on it in a certain way. So we're going to do that. We're just going to add some of the writing here. And then we're going to add this writing here this way. We're going to add some like actual language symbols, like instead of just doing gibberish like this, we're doing something like this deal, where it looks like an actual language symbol kind of thing. But of course it is just still gibberish, but it does look like it's spaced out like an alphabet or a hiragana or something like that. So let's continue with that. So let's do some in there, something like that. Just a smidgen here, a little bit there. Now, we're probably not going to make all of these glow, because I think that would be too much. But we are going to just create the language on the tombstones, and then we can just kind of figure out what we like to glow and what we don't. So let's just add some more here. A bit like that. Come on, there you go. Just like that. And then the really tiny tombstones, you don't really have to worry about language too much. Just put some lines on there to emphasize or to imply that you have somewhat of a writing on it. Okay, let's do that there. Do something here. Okay, so now we can do some, I think up here would be cool. Some on the top. And I'm only doing one side on because it'd be like the front of the tombstone. You don't want to have it on the tall pieces, at least. You don't want to have it to be like all the way around. Okay, so we could just do something like that for now. See what that looks like. Control H. We're gonna grab some of this blue, not the super bright teal blue, but we're gonna grab some of this kind of darker glowy blue, so like there, and we're going to kind of just paint that on everything, like that. Paint it in, like so. Okay, and then we can grab some of the actual brighter blue and kind of just do like this thing, maybe a little bit here. And we're focusing on the blue standing out in the shadows mostly, because with the lighting in here, you wouldn't really have, like having glowy blue in the sunlight would be weird. It wouldn't be as easy to see. So having it stand out in the shadows just makes more sense. All right, so this middle piece here, what do we do here? We need something there. We could write something there, like kitsune in Japanese, maybe, but then that'll cement it in Japanese. What is? Hold on, let's do Google Translate. Google Translate. Not English to Japanese. Japanese to English. Well, no, English to Japanese. Yeah. All right, so we need I don't know, fox forest. Well, that's kitsune more, of course. Fox shrine, maybe. So like what? Te, jinja, kitsune jinja. That looks cool. All right, so we're gonna grab that. I think we'll grab that idea. So let's bring that over here so I can look at it while we're looking at our piece. And I'm gonna grab, I don't know, probably red. Right? Let's see. Yeah, red works. So we'll do that symbol, or that kanji. So kitsune, so it'd be kanji 1 here, kanji 2 here, and kanji 3 there, vertical. So let's do, let's do something like, it's always fun trying to do kanji the first time. All right, so it's like this, and like that. And we're just gonna imply it here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oops. So do like that, and then some of that, something like that, and then the next one is like, whoop, like that. I gotta thicken that line up a bit. Okay, and then this one is just classic. Doon doon. Whoop. Like that. It's coming off on the edge a little bit. There we go. And then the third one is Jinja. which is this symbol again. Whoop. Stop. That with the Dobutsu symbol. Oh, I guess it's like just a upward symbol. So Ue or something like that. There we go. There. Okay. So just enough to be on there so that we have something to look at, and then we can add a little bit more of a design to it. So it would add like a little bit of a emphasis, not emphasis, like a border around it to make it look more like it was actually printed there. So let's do like that. Oops, there we go. There you go. Cool. Then we can possibly separate it like that. Or we keep it all the same? No, we keep it all the same. Okay, so now we have that. I don't like how it's all solid, so we're going to play around with just kind of adding different values to it to make it look like an actual sign that's being lit. Fam. Okay, cool. So, what do we do next? Because, like, once we get to a point where the only thing left is just cleaning things up, then we're golden, you know? So what I'm trying to focus on right now is the problem areas of the piece. Any kind of blue spectral flakes that we were talking about would be added at the end, so that way we can just kind of throw it around everywhere. Same thing with falling leaves. I think values need to be adjusted at the moment, so we are going to go ahead and make a checkpoint. Let's duplicate, merge. There's our checkpoint. And now, this is always fun to do. So if you take your checkpoint and you just go ahead and hide everything before it, you can see where we were and where we're at, you know? So you can see how things are progressing just from the checkpoints alone, which is cool. It's just like a little morale booster. Be like, hey, look, I actually am making progress on something. We're actually getting somewhere. Because, I mean, we started with, you know, just that paint bucket, thank you. We started with just this piece, this rough idea of a composition, and then it's turned into that, you know? So, it's getting there. We're getting there. But we do still have another hour, so what do we work on? The values need to be adjusted, yeah. If we do auto tone, it might try. Yeah, let's make everything green. If we do auto contrast, it might work a little bit, but let's just do levels in general. So let's play around with the midtones, the shadows, and the highlights. At the moment, everything feels a bit too dull, so we're gonna bump the highlights for sure. Midtones can kind of contrast a little bit more. Shadows we can leave as is. Okay, so before and after, you can see we what happened? Yeah, that's fine. We'll do it again. So adjustments, levels. Whoops, that's brightness, contrast. Levels is better for me, at least. Some people use curves. I like levels. So we'll just crank the highlights up a bit. Adjust the midtones a smidge. Because we want the lights to be pretty important. There we go. Okay. So now before and after, you can see where before it was very dull, and now everything's starting to get a bit brighter. Now that we've increased the brightness, so we do need to add a bit of a darkness around the edges, not because of like a vignette being cool or anything, but because if we darken the edges a little bit, then it'll help focus the focal point, of course, to the center of the image, which is where our characters are, and we want that. So we are going to kind of tone that down just a smidge. All right, maybe brighten up here a little bit. I don't like this little bit of blue poking through the trees here, so we're gonna just get rid of that. There we go. All right, maybe a little bit there. This looks like a duplicate because this shape is being duplicated here. So yeah, that's better. All right, cool, sweet. All right, so now we've adjusted values, and you can see what it was before and after. We can go ahead and turn these back on. So before and after, the values certainly focus more on the middle now, which is great. But now we need to focus on, what do we do? What are we doing? Oh, incense burning. So we can add some, little incense sticks burning around. We can have, ooh, you know what? There we go. That's what we do. All right, so the lanterns, right? We were talking about the lanterns with the painting. What we do is we make that glowy orange that we liked without making big old floaty lanterns that are taking up too much attention. And we have incense burners that are kind of dimly glowing in the darkness. So we can add that fairly easily. All we have to do is go ahead and just add a bowls, because generally incense burners, Japanese incense burner, might be in something like this. There you go. So you can see that it's in like a bowl of some sort, just to kind of keep any incense from falling out anywhere. And also I think it's just looks cool. It's like a stylistic choice, because you can also put them in these, but it burns on the inside. So we're going to focus on the bowls, something like this, and go from there. So let's get some bowls. All right, let's figure out where the bowls are going. Also, I'm noticing there's this weird tangent line right here all the way across. Just going to content wear that out. There, it's better. All right, so tangent lines are if something is touching and it's creating the illusion of a line going across a piece. So, for example, with the gate here, if I were to have a tree branch that was perfectly placed, like let's say here, like that, and I painted that in. Granted, the tree could actually just be there, like in real life or something like that. Trees don't really follow any rules. I mean, they do follow rules of like space and canopies and whatnot, but as far as like taking pictures of a forest, sometimes the trees don't line up perfectly. So this could happen. The thing is if you do something like this, you can see that it's creating a line that continues all the way through the gate. So from a distance, it feels weird. Like it feels like you don't know when the gate starts and where the tree starts. So generally tangent line is seen as like a negative in art. Another tangent line would be something like, so I have the fox cut off right here, right? But you can see that I cut it off with a natural shape using the rocks, the leaves, and everything like that. It kind of goes like this, right? But if I were to just cut it off straight down using like a tombstone or a rock or something like that, then it would feel weird because there's just like a straight line, which in real life normally doesn't happen. Even with the Torii gate, even though it's got straight lines up and down, I made sure to keep them kind of loose and rough, so that way it's not a perfect straight line. Just because perfect straight lines and images tend to feel a bit weird. A bit fake in general, simply because weird. Simply because in real life there's not a lot of straight lines. So, with that out of the way, with that discussed, I am going to work on these bowls. So let's just put some bowls in here. You know, let's just kind of generally at the base of a tombstone. That's where they are. Let's kind of put them around like that. And these are just emphasized bowls, so they don't have to be the best bowls you've ever done. Nothing that's going to go in the fridge. Let's put a bowl over here. Composition wise, a bowl right here would be fine. But then because this one is, you know, kind of off to the side, a bowl here would be better. Something like that I think would be cool. And then the bowl here. A bit too symmetrical with the bowls coming in a straight line like that. So I'm going to move this one up here. And I want to move this one down here. Like that. Okay. That looks solid. We're going to play around with this left side, because right now the left side is the weakest side of the image. But first let's do the bowls. So we're going to add some bowls. We're just kind of throwing in some values here. Get a little bit of gray going. Or a little bit, not gray, because in real life nothing is really gray. There's always some kind of color in it. So we're essentially adding in colors of the environment nearby. So we're going to add some of this on top of that, some like here, a little bit of a brighter, just a slightly brighter color to help it stand out from the tombstone itself. This one's close to a canopy lighting that we made earlier, so we can just kind of light that one up a little bit. That. Okay, and then the one in the back here, this one, way back here. Go. All right, so incense sticks. All right, this is easy. Oh, actually, we forgot the bowls over here. Dang it. All right, bowls over here. Let's do a little bit brighter. This color that I used for these over here will work over here too. So we kind of just make it shape of a bowl, emphasize that it's there, or imply that it's there. I keep saying emphasize. Okay, so sticks. How do we do sticks? Easy peasy. Take the lasso tool, draw a straight line, make the top of it glow. You got a stick. So we're just going to kind of have them come out. We want to add some character to them. We don't want them to be just a straight stick, straight up and down. And we don't want them to be just the same exact size all the way through. So we're going to kind of just add a couple here and there of different orientations, straight, slightly slanted, slightly tall, and use that as a way to add some variety. Okay, sticks back here. Should be really tiny because it's a bit further away. Let's do a couple back there. And then the sticks here. And then some sticks here. Oop. There we go. So, cool. All right, so now we will just take a dark value. Just go over all of them with a dark value. I did this shade color just to make them stand out against like the brighter stones. And then we're going to add that glowy orange. This, we like this. So we're gonna grab like that and chuck that on there. Okay. Oh, there we go. And we're gonna chuck that right on top of the sticks, right on the tip. Like that. Like there. Now I'm not sure how the stream is picking this up because this is a very small detail. And I tend to work zoomed out like this so that way I don't lose focus on the whole piece instead of just focusing so much on one tiny little detail. So if you can't see these because of the stream's bit rate or something, they will, once the stream is done, it'll actually upload the full 4K video and then you should be able to see them. So I apologize if you can't see them at the moment, but they are there. They're just really tiny. Do some smoldering, some blue steel. There we go. Okay, and then we can add a little bit of smoke. Just not because we need to, because in reality it wouldn't be that smoky, but it looks cool. So we're just gonna add a smidgen of smoke, kind of coming off. We do want to break it up so it's not like all one smoke thing, one smoke plume trail. No, what do you call it? Like a thin wisp of smoke. We want to make sure it's cool to look at, which in general means some variety. So let's add a little bit there, a little bit there, and a little bit over here. You want smoke to kind of rise up, thinner at the top, thicker at the bottom, when it comes to like thin wisp like this, because it's disintegrating as it goes up. And then we shall add some of that smoky color into everything that we need to add it in. We can add a little bit brighter, just so we can see it well. There we go. Okay, so we've now added some incense sticks. And like I said before, we're getting to the point where everything is just cleaning things up. It's not like adding new ideas. So now this left side is the weakest point. And the reason why is because, of course, the right side has a fox, but the right side has a stronger composition. If you were to close off this section of the image like that, then you can see how varied the environment is here. We have the tombstones, we have some of the rocks, we have some of the trees, and it's all creating this really cool composition and flow right here with the fox, right? But if you do it to the other side, transform flip, I don't need, it's just a black square, I don't know why I flipped it. If we put it over here, then you can see that we have the tombstones and we have the shrine and everything, but we don't have much here to look at. There's not like a lot here. So we need to make this more interesting compared to like this has like a nice tree. This is just kind of a jumbled mess of leaves. So I think before we call it, because we're about 30 minutes away from calling it, this is what we're going to fix. So how do we do that? I don't know. We'll probably add some more of the graveyard shots because they have some cool trees in there. So let's do that. Let's see what happens with that. Let's go to my references. Scuba doo boop boop doo 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 doo. Countries, Japan. Where'd it go? There it is. And we'll go to graveyard. Okay, so let's find something that It's closer to the perspective we need, but still looks cool. This is interesting. We could try this, I guess. So these tall, really tall tombstones, it's creating like that kind of vertical wall of whatever that, I don't know why that is that way, but it looks cool. We can transform it horizontally, and we could, I don't know, darker color is gonna be, yeah, gross. So we could do lighter color, and then just darken it so it's not so light. There we go. And then see what that looks like if we put it back here like that, and then kind of delete everything else because we don't need any of those. Nah, I'll do something else. Let's do one of these. What do we do? What needs to go here? Now see, normally if I'm like, I need something here, I just don't know what it is, I can do content aware and it'll fill it in with something, and then I'll go from there. The problem is I knew it wouldn't work because it's such a large piece of the image. It's going to try to grab a lot of different elements. It's not trying to just fill in a space. It's trying to like fill in a giant portion. So if we gently use it and grab a little bit of areas, it's going to try to do this, which just doesn't make sense perspective wise. So that's why I wasn't really doing this. I was kind of just trying to find images that would fit it instead, because I'm just so used, I've used content aware for so long that I know its weaknesses. Let's find something. But what do we find? I don't know. This is cool. We can try this. Something like that is cool. These round bits up here. So we can, again, lighter color, make it less light. So like there-ish. And then move it. Oh, you know what? That looks cool. I'm liking that. That looks pretty neat compared to what we had before. Right. That looks cool. I think we're gonna keep this. So let's delete all of the forest around it. Something like this, I think. Just eyeballing it right now. And again, it brings into the round, mystical feeling instead of everything being sharp. So let's grab that. This is kind of broken, so that's great. Let's grab this mossy rock. Okay, grab some up here. Let me grab this one. All right. Don't know why it started way up there. All right. Let's delete the forest around it and make that work, because I like that. If we do normal, it's going to be too bright. Or not, because I adjusted the values. That's right. So we could do darker color, but then we'll lose what we got here. All right. So we're gonna use levels. We're gonna bring it down a bit darker. And then take the shadows and kind of, well, middle tones, highlights, not highlights, midtones are fine. All right, so we're gonna play with this. I like that a lot. What we had before was cool, but this adds more of a interesting elements to look at. So we're gonna play with this. Now to play with this, first off, we need to get rid of this writing right here. because we're going to make our own kind of writing. So it's content aware of that, just be blank. And then we're going to extend this rock over here, something like that. And then we can just delete it there. And then extend over this way. It's too dark, I think. Something like that. Nope. Okay, we're not going to extend. We're going to leave that. And then we are going to get rid of this doll figure here. It's probably like a memorial or something like that, but we're just going to, it takes away from our story. So yeah, I think that's fine there. So we can go ahead and take our bowl and incense over here and change it to match more of what we have now. So we're going to, where would the bowls go? Could have a bowl here, something closer up. Then we could have a bowl up here, like that. And then have like a smaller one here. Maybe one like here. And then one like on this side, maybe. No, it'd be on the front. So here-ish. We want to add some coolness. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking neat. All right. So let's go ahead and add in our bowl values, which again are not black. It's just going to be the shadows of the nearby area. And then we can add in some slight brighter values to help it stand out against the bright stone. Something like that, right there, here, and then a little bit there. Cool. And now we go ahead and add our incense again. Let's do a stick, stick, stick there, stick here, whoop, whoop, stick there, stick there, stick over there, stick over here. You get a stick, you get a stick, everybody gets a stick. There we go. That one's probably too uniform, so it's gonna break that up a bit. Okay, so then the sticks get dark values. Oh, whoops, I forgot a bowl. Do this one here. Okay, sticks get dark values. Something like here. And then we hit them with the old 1-2 glowy tips. So we need that orange again. We'll just grab this orange. And then have them glow a little bit. Just enough to add some of that cool, warm glowiness of the burning incense to the shadow areas, because these side bits are darker areas. And then we can add like an actual ember glow to it later. And now we're gonna add the final smoky wispness to it, which again is a tiny detail, but it looks cool. Oops, there we go. And I also like the idea of the glowy blue tombstones being on the right side where the fox is, because they glow near him. So we're just going to leave the glowy blueness on that side, and we're going to leave more of the focus on the embers and the incense on this side. So now we grab some brighter tone to add some of that incense smoke. There we go. Cool. All right. Now, there is one thing before we call it, is that now that we've created this cooler detail on the left here, the bottom right doesn't match the same level of detail. So we're just going to cheat it by taking the same exact image that I have. Oops, wrong layer. It's this one, isn't it? Yeah, that's because I have a selection. There we go. Copy, paste. Okay. And then set it into perspective so we can have it like that. But we're going to break it to make it not seem like we just copy and pasted from one side to the other. So to do so, we're going to change some of the scale. We're going to also content aware some of the details. And what this will do is it'll break the image and give us a bit more of a variety from the other side. Let's just do like that, delete that, and then delete this one. Content aware to fix that hole I made. Go. And then we're going to content aware this whole stick out. Take this little pile here, break it up, break it all up, quit fighting, break it up. There we go. And what I'm doing is I'm just using content aware as a quick way to break it up. Before I used content aware, I would just paint over it, and break it up. But this is a faster way to do it. And it also opens up to the ideas of accidents. So that's cool. And now we're going to also, I like this edge that I created here with the leaves. So we're gonna try to do the same thing over here where we create more of an edge instead of like this janky cutout. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, that looks better. All right, so now we have to do the instance one more time on the right. Let's get rid of that and add some bowls. We can also content aware some of this writing so that way it's not so symmetrical to the left side. And also this vine on the ball itself. Oops. Kind of just do like that. Delete. There we go. Okay. So now we will add the bowls one more time because everybody likes bowls. Which is just a bowl kind of people. So we're gonna put a bowl there. I was gonna put a bowl here, but I decided not to because of the tangent line of being straight up and down like that. So we're just going to move it over a little bit. And then we can put a little bowl right here. Okay, that should be fine. And then go ahead and add the dark values to them. And then add a slightly brighter value to help them stand out from the nearby stone. That. And then we add the sticks. So let's add the incense sticks. You get a stick. And then you get a stick. And then you get a stick. Okay, so then we will take that orange again and we make it glow with the embers, the fiery passion of 1,000 suns. Here we go. Neat. All right, and then the final little wispies, kind of just throw those in there. Don't throw them in there like crappy. You do want them to look nice, so you kind of have a little bit of a flow to them, but you don't have to have them perfect. Just kind of have them floaty, little floatiness. Okay, and then we add the wisp in there themselves. Boom. All right, so that looks cool, right? I think this is a cool place to call like the idea is established. The only thing left now is cleaning stuff up. Like for example, this area down here, if we content aware, you'll see that it's just going to continue with the textures we already have. But in reality, we need to clean up this like edging here and there. Yeah, but it can't because it's two different images. So we're just going to merge, duplicate, and then merge. So we have a checkpoint. Here we go. And now, because they're on the same layer, I can content aware them easier. There we go. Same thing with this side. That's weird that you do it that way, but okay. Cool. All right, so now we have this generic floor, a line there that I don't like. Stop creating a line. That's better. All right. So now, let's recap what we've done. We have now started from scratch. We have designed the character general outfit. We have designed the fox general shape. We have somewhat of a lighting established for the scene. The scene, you know, before I call it there, I'm actually going to add something else. I am the worst at just ending things. So there is a need for some canopy lighting, just kind of poking through a little bit. So we're just going to add a smidgen of that in there. We're just going to add just a little bit, just to kind of set this in the environment some more. Just do that. That's fine there. This could use a little bit of rim lighting. Same thing right over here. Just a little bit on the edge. Not enough to make it like extremely bright, but enough to help sell that this is being lit in the same environment as everything else. Here we go. All right, so now we're gonna add lighting itself. We want it to be a bit brighter and colored, but we don't want it to be like super bright. So we're also going to, you know what? We're also going to soften the edge. So if you go to select and mask, and then go to feather here, I'm just going to feather out a smidge. And then, that was too much. Was it too much? That was way too much. All right, we're just gonna leave it sharp. That's fine. Screw it, we'll just do it live. So there, we can add a bit of lighting in there. Whoops. Now, this is very sharp edge, right? You can see where I added the canopy lighting here is like little bits of like sharp lasso masks. It's very obvious. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of delete some of it in areas that I don't want it to be in, or very obvious at least. And then what we would do, if we had the time, is I would come in with the same value and actually just paint in the canopy lighting myself to kind of blend it into the environment like that, which we can do in the polish phase. But at the moment, I think this is pretty solid. I'm just going to go ahead and do what I was talking about earlier, where I said that I would add some lines in here to make it look more like a texture and less like a tree image was just placed right on top of the gate. Just going to do that while I discuss the next stream. So the next stream will be Saturday again at 1 o'clock. It shouldn't be at 12:45. 1 o'clock EST. And we will be approaching the prop design. So for the next one, what I would like to do is, because the streams that we've done before in the past are usually like key arts like this, where we have like an actual illustration design, lighting, characters, focal point, etc. But I haven't done a lot on stream, at least, of like prop design. So I wanted to show, this is too bright. I wanted to show a bit of a prop design sheet. So for this example though, normally a prop design you would have like turnarounds. So you would have a prop with different angles shown, so that way 3D modelers can, you know, model off your design, showing like left angle, right angle, 3/4 angle, back, front, etc., top down, and did some measurements in between if you need to. When they made Cyberpunk 2077, they actually created concept art for the buildings to have in scale. So the actual pieces of art had to keep in mind, like, all right, well, for this building, this scale is like 10 feet, so that way when the modelers came in, they knew exactly like the general measurement of everything without having to guess. So we're going to do something similar, but because this is for a project that we don't have the time to like explore everything, and then also we don't, or not explore, but we don't have the time to like create model sheets where we're just designing one thing in multiple views, multiple angles. We're just going to go ahead and create a we're going to create a prop design sheet of just a bunch of little things. So we're going to create a design sheet that has things from this scene right here, the graveyard, and we're just going to do them in a bit closer detail, so that way whenever we do, pitch this this project, or whenever we show this project to anybody for like like art directing a team or managing a team of artists or something like that, then we have examples of different props that we need designed. So for the next stream, I'm thinking, because these graves are really cool, that we'll probably do some of these graves here in like a closer design with more detail, and then also the shrine itself, the main focal point in the middle here, which we need to detail on the polish phase when we get back to this. But this right here is also going to be on the prop design, and that is my plan for the next stream. As always, we will see how it goes, but that is the idea for the next stream. So if you guys want to follow along, create your own key art for your projects, or follow along for the next stream, create your own prop designs, whatever you want to do, feel free to post them in the Discord under the concept art channel. And I check in there periodically to see how everybody's doing, see what everybody's posting, and yeah, feel free to share your stuff. And I believe that's where we can call it. So so I'm just gonna go ahead and end it there, and I will see you guys in the next following streams. So thank you for joining me, and have a great weekend.